Welcome to another session of Promethean Board and ActivInspire Software training for the College of Ed at UAA. So I thought it might be fun to go ahead and make a Jeopardy game to go through some of the common things you might want to do using ActivInspire to create interactive lessons using your Promethean board in the classroom. So I've set up 4 categories, and I thought we would start with round 1, images. So I'm going to go ahead and click on images for 100 to start. And I want to talk about the property browser and some of the things that you can do with it. So the first thing I want to point out is this image, which I'm going to go ahead and click on with the selection arrow, is something that I got. I'm going to switch over to the resource browser. And what I did is I got this from Promethean Planet, and I was able to just download a resource pack. And then I just dragged and dropped it onto the page. And so this might be the beginning of a lesson in a science or math class on some kind of a data analysis on ski jumping. And so what I could do using the property browser is a couple of different things. I can actually change the appearance of it. I can change the translucency, and I can change the position if I wanted to, which I usually actually find it easier just to drag it around on the page to do that. And I can add tooltips, which we will learn a little bit later. I can do all kinds of other cool things, but what I want to do in this case is get rid of that white background. So I can easily click on this hot pink. If I don't see the color I want here, which I do, white, I can also use this eyedropper, and I can just click on white. And if this is transparent set to true, then it will just get rid of that white background. And it works with varying degrees of success. You might see a little fuzziness around the edges. It just depends on the quality of the graphic. So now it looks a lot nicer without that white box around it. So that's a little trick for using the property browser to get rid of the white square around a graphic. So let's go back to Jeopardy and choose images for 200. So I'm going to switch over to the notes pages. This is a lesson that might be used in a foreign language class that has some pictures of clothing, which I just dragged and dropped over from Microsoft Word clip art. So I put them on my Word page and then just dragged them over onto ActivInspire. It works really easily and nice. So a student could be asked, for example, in Spanish, in this case, to color the shirt red. And while you could use a variety of tools here, the easiest tool is to use the paint bucket. So you can choose the paint bucket, choose one of these 2 reds, dark red or regular red, and then the student would just click on the shirt and make it red. And so then the next instruction would be to color the pants blue. Well, they're already kind of blue, but we can go ahead and make them a different shade of blue by clicking again the paint bucket and blue. The student would be coming up to the board to do this. They would click to get the right answer there. So a use of the paint bucket, which you might not have expected would work this way with clip art. It actually works beautifully and is actually a really powerful tool. So let's head back, use the selection arrow, and go back to the Jeopardy board here. And let's take a look at images for 300. And this is a pretty basic one. You may know that under Resource Browser, we have a list of items that are our backgrounds, and they behave differently than any other object because when you drag one to the page, it knows it's the background and it can't be moved. So it's locked into place. It's on the backmost layer. And so what if I wanted to use something other than the backgrounds that are given or downloaded from Promethean Planet? It's really easy. You just right-click on the page and choose Set Background. And I have it set to image to be able to look through my photos on my computer or my other images. And then I can just browse and I can find any one of these images that I want to make the background. And then I can choose Open. And then I have options for zooming. I'm going to leave it on best fit for now and click apply. And so now I have my own custom background. Again, it's not a regular image like this one that if I drag it on the board, it moves around and I can delete it and so on. This cannot be deleted. The only way to get rid of it would be to replace it with something else, so drag another background on top of it. So what if I thought I might want to use this background again at some point? Well, I can actually add it to my backgrounds on the resource browser by right-clicking again on the page and adding to the resource library as a background. And so now I've added a couple of my own photos that I might use in the future as a background. So pretty easy stuff. Let's go ahead and go for the last round, or the last item, 400. Images for 400. And this one is a little more complex. Basically, there's two ways to get screenshots or capture the screen in a picture. One would be just the standard way you might do it on any Windows computer using the print screen key on the keyboard and or using the snipping tool. Basically anything that can be copied can be easily pasted into ActivInspire. So that method works really well. The advantage of that method, let me grab my pen tool over here, is that I can actually pull a menu down before I hit the print screen key. So it allows me to highlight something on the page, whereas I can't really do that using the other method, the camera tool, and I also can't do that very easily using the snipping tool. So the Windows print screen is actually my preferred method of adding a screenshot. When I hit the print screen key on the keyboard, all I have to do is come into ActivInspire and hit paste, because the print screen key on the keyboard will always just take a picture of whatever you have on your screen. Now, it may be necessary to crop it depending on how many monitors you have and so on, and how much you want. You can use Alt print screen on a Windows computer to just capture that particular window, so that's a nice shortcut. Now, ActivInspire does have a camera tool which can be used for just simply taking a screenshot of some kind, but also can be used for cropping. So if you did take a screenshot that ended up having more in it than you wanted, you could actually use the camera tool because there is no cropping tool. So there's two camera tools, and one is at the top of the toolbar, and that one is going to bring up whatever happens to be behind your ActivInspire window. And it brings up this little wheel, which is sometimes difficult to see because it's so small. And there is an actual camera option there, and lots of choices. I'm going to go ahead and choose Area Snapshot, and I'm going to just go ahead and take that snapshot of that part of this web page. And then I can choose where I want to put it. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the current page. Now, it's not intuitive how to get back to ActivInspire. You have to go back to this wheel and choose Return to Flip Charts, and now you're back. And here, let me switch to the arrow key, is the picture I just took a picture of. So then, of course, I can click on it, make it whatever size I want, and put it on the screen or whatever I want to do with it. So that tool takes you out of ActivInspire. This tool, which is called just regular tools, this stays inside ActivInspire. So when I choose this camera, I have the same exact options, but I don't get taken out of ActivInspire. Instead, I am still in ActivInspire, but I get all the same exact options. So if I wanted to crop this picture, for example, then I can just drag this box however big I want. Let's just say we want this part down here. And once again, same option, so I can choose current page. So it does add an additional one. So if I was trying to crop this, then I would need to go and delete this item, and I would have my two other images here that I could use. So to take a screenshot, which is really useful for illustration, I have a couple of options, and hopefully that makes sense. Two different camera options and the plain old Windows options. So that brings us to the conclusion of round 1 in ActivInspire Jeopardy. I hope you've learned something.